Are paid 3D AI generators still worth the money when you can run free AI models locally? Every creator wants to know if paid is better than free or vice versa. And today we're gonna do honest breakdown. We're gonna check on best open source models. We're gonna go through their evolution. We'll finally get the answer if free is better than paid or it's not. And I also gonna reveal some industry dark secrets which actually prevents more open source models going live. Watch until the end and you will get plenty of insights. As usual, Steph here, and let's get started. Today we're gonna break down open source models that you can run locally. When I say run locally, that usually means around 24 gigs VRAM. However, the good news for us is that most of them already have optimized versions, and recently there was Trellis.2 which can be run on 6 GB RAM, which is amazing. But is it actually good? That's the question we're gonna answer today. But before we start comparing things, let's rewind 2 years back. So approximately 2 years ago, there was just few models like SR and Trellis.1. And I remember that time when Trellis.1 released, that was already huge. To show you how big it evolved, I prepared this prompt. It's not that complicated, but it also has quite a lot of details. Quite simple concept, interesting, and it has medium amount of details. And here you can see how SR created it. Do not be confused with current Tripo, that is like grandparent, measuring by current pace. And here's the Trellis.1. And I'm not gonna lie, when it first saw light, it was actually impressive. I was already starting to try to use it in production, but that was very long ago. After that, we got an amazing release from Hunyuan. There was Hunyuan 2.0 and then Hunyuan 2.1. And for open source community, that was a lot. I mean, Hunyuan 2.1 was used very wide in different setups in Comfy UI everywhere, and people was quite enjoying that. Last year we also had Trellis.2, which was the refinement. It also has 3D generation, but it was quite often used together with Hunyuan 2.1 to achieve at that point the best quality 3D models. Texturing was improved and geometry was improved as well. It was something close to what we used to now. And community was super excited and we was expecting even more. So there was a LATTICE, and there was a strong rumor that LATTICE will be released in open source. And LATTICE, by the way, is behind Hunyuan 2.5 and Hunyuan 3, which is really good quality, even better than Trellis. We're gonna talk about it later. But just 1 month ago, we got a really bad news. If you go to the LATTICE right now, you can see this. So due to company policy, open source is currently on hold. And this is the dark side, guys. The money problem is real, and I think because of strong competition with companies like Tripo, Item, Hunyuan decided to not release it or postpone it. And for open source community, that's a huge loss. We'll see if it's ever gonna be released. Hopefully, yes, but for now, LATTICE suspended. But in the end of 2025, we actually starting to get quite a lot of surprises, and that was great. First, we saw the drop from Meta releasing SAM3, which is a segmentation model, but together with it, they dropped some 3D objects, and it was amazing. It was not pure geometry and stuff, but it was about extracting objects from anywhere, and it was quite accurate. Under the hood, it was based on splats, but it was possible to convert it in geometry. And while still celebrating, there was a drop from Microsoft that made real noise. That was Trellis.2. And for open source community, there was no bigger event so far. It does really good geometry understanding, very nice texturing, up to 1536 resolution with 4K textures. They was actually first to make transparency support. Even still, page generators do not support glasses or stuff, and they actually do that. And I was doing review that time, I was genuinely surprised. And after that, Trellis was updated a few times, and we also saw a release of some refiners, such as UltraShape, which was released approximately in January, which actually adds up more details on top of the existing mesh. It's not really a generator, it's a refiner. Approximately same time we got Face C, also a refiner that does quite nice mesh cleaning and adding some details. That was also a very important step for open source community. Here, for example, you can see the refined geometry with UltraShape. And to be honest, I'm not gonna say like I really like it more than the original results, because latest version of Trellis already does have some of this in their pipeline. So I would say the difference is not that big really, but it might add up extra details and stuff. So definitely consider that. And actually, before we start comparing this with page generators, all these models I created with full AI, where I have access to all the models. It's not a promotion. I just had two options: either go find somewhere where I can use these models or do a lot of comfy UI setups. And I don't do that for a while already because I'm focusing on more creative content. But let me recommend my friend Philip from Pixel Artistry, who actually helped me with this video, and he does amazing tutorials about how you can set it all in Comfy UI, including low VRAM setups. Definitely take a look if you want to go deeper into that. So now, when we know the best open source model, which I don't doubt at all is Trellis.2 with preferred source such as refiners or stuff, we're gonna compare it with paid one. Which one we're gonna choose? Well, we're gonna take top two from 3D AI Arena, which is Hunyuan and Tripo 3.1. Hunyuan is actually also free, but it's not open source. It is definitely closed source, but they do give daily credits, like you can do 20 generations per day. Tripo is paid, but they also do give generous free credits, however less than Hunyuan. They also do have low poly and another features, but I already did a separate video about it. The link will be somewhere here. Today we're gonna compare foundational high poly models, take a look on details, accuracy and stuff. Okay, here we have all these guys together. So let's start with this metal rooster on the roof. So there should be a metal rooster like this. On the Trellis, we doesn't have him right. UltraShape refiner also couldn't manage that. Now here's the Hunyuan 3.1, and it actually is something better, definitely better, but it's located completely in wrong place. And here is Tripo. It's located in right place, and it's not correct rooster, right? But it reminds of rooster. So definitely this one is a winner. Now for the texture, here is our Trellis texture, which is actually quite good, I would say. And we also have PBR. So like this metal tube is actually look like metal, and also this part sort of like look metal. Here is the Hunyuan version. So Hunyuan tend to simplify and smooth some stuff, and I can definitely tell that by the tree and all this stuff. Yeah, it's like sort of smoothen, and I can see quite a lot of artifacts. Even though I used 4K, its resolution is a little bit blurry. More sharper on Hunyuan, but we can see quite a lot of artifacts there and there. So not enough the resolution. And here we have Tripo. I would say definitely Tripo wins in my opinion. Like the texture is most accurate. We can also take a look on the roof. Actually, the roof is also quite good on Trellis, but the details are lacking. Now let's turn off textures and see geometry alone. So here's a Trellis, and yes, there are details, and just in case, we can take a look on refined one. It is cleaner, but it's not means that it adds more details. I would say on Trellis.2 alone there are more details than together with UltraShape. More simpler is Hunyuan. Again, it tends to simplify and smoothen. Okay, so here is what it looks like in Tripo. And yeah, it's definitely a winner. Look, how good is the ladder? Like you can see this wood pattern everywhere, the tree, everything looks quite nice. I would say if we can replace the rooster with more detailed one, it could be actually almost perfect. Here you can see this from the back side, and yes, Tripo has it from all sides, quite nice. Hunyuan is actually also very close. Here we do have a problem, like we have empty window frames. So this prompt is something balanced. It's not too complicated, but not too simple. And we can definitely say that Trellis is quite impressive and getting closer, but it definitely fails compared to paid one, especially to Tripo 3.1. But Tripo 3.1 is absolutely the best in my opinion. On 3D AI Arena, they always fighting for the first place. So let's say for this example, I couldn't use Trellis. I would have to do quite a lot of tweaks. But what if we take simpler prompts? Like I prepared this bench. Can Trellis create it that good so I can use it in my Unreal Engine game? Let's find out. Okay, here is our bench generated. And what do we see here? The shape is not that bad, but we do have some artifacts here and there, right? So the accuracy is failing. Again, I was using the max possible settings. Full AI allows all the settings that Trellis actually have. I think is excessive amount of settings, to be honest. Like I don't even know how to use all of them. I just know the resolution really and the remesh. But remesh doesn't really ruin the geometry. It just reduces amount of polygons from millions of millions to some decent number. You can see even after remesh, it's still dense. For the texture, I think it could be better, definitely. Okay, let's take a look on Hunyuan. And this is so much better. So look, this handle is way better. It's separated. You can see the separated material. The geometry is definitely better. I would say like geometry is even better than texture. These guys, you can actually run in cloud for free right now. 20 generations on each account per day. Free. There's also Hunyuan 3D Studio available here where you can create a low poly version, which is one of the best right now, absolutely for free. I get full review on my other channel of Hunyuan Studio. Definitely take a try. So Hunyuan 2.1 is definitely better, even with simple prompts. Now let's go to Tripo and review this result. Okay, so here we have the lighter version in terms of colors, but I think in terms of texture, it is actually more accurate. If I remove the PBR, you can see the color actually matching quite close to the reference. We have this imperfection on the metal part and stuff. In this case, PBR is not the best, but in terms of shape, this is absolutely my favorite. But that was only one simple prompt. Let's do one more. So we have this guy, and what I want to check is how close it will be to the reference, right? In terms of proportions and stuff. And here we have our guy. It's actually not bad, but the details on the face are quite blurry. Let's see if Hunyuan and Tripo can do it better. Here is Hunyuan. Okay, so what do we have here? It's actually quite close, right? It even added this sort of smile, but it looks extra smooth to me. Definitely more details, but too smooth. Here is the version without material enabled. And here is the geometry. You can actually follow the pattern, how this model generates. And what about Tripo? Okay, here we go. Here is with the PBR enabled. I would say it's like the closest shape so far. Yeah, it's definitely the closest one. Absolutely. Let's disable material and here's how it looks. Yeah, I mean, I think this is the best one. Okay, and on the high poly, we can even see this skin imperfection and stuff, which is great. Yeah, this is what I don't like about Hunyuan, making everything extra smooth. Tripo is keeping it closer to the reference. Again, we can try get extra details with some refiners, but that's like 10 to 20% up in quality. It still uses the foundation model as base geometry. Here's one more example, full body character. What do we have here? I intentionally made character stylized to give Trellis a chance to shine, but let's say the heads definitely fails. The more details, the smaller they are, I mean, the less accurate it is. So the face, head, like completely not same, but the body and the garment is pretty much okay. And you can see it doesn't read this stylization. It makes it sort of low poly, which is not what I want. Same thing in Hunyuan. Okay, so we can see the garment is definitely better. Stylization is definitely one of the best side of Hunyuan. But for the face, it's not the same face, but it's closer. Definitely better than Trellis. Okay, and finally, let's take a look on Tripo. What do we have here? The materials are too saturated. I mean, like the roughness, but maybe that actually good. Okay, so we can see the shape quite good. What about the face? I think it's close, but still not perfect. Usually when I use Tripo or Hunyuan to create something, I create head alone. Such as again, head alone usually is way more accurate and following the reference. So in all these examples, Trellis is actually behind. It's close, but it's behind. Let's do one more final test, which will be this guy. And I just want to see how much details really it can follow accurately. Because this is a sculpture with calamari and there's a lot of small details. Okay, so here we go. Let's say I decided to do a 3D print and I want to use Trellis. Can I potentially print it? Okay, so you can see there's quite a lot of mess. Very unlogical moments here. The tentacle go inside each other and yeah, it's like quite bad. It's not that bad here, but like here is complete mess. This tentacles doesn't look any good at all. Oh, and there's even a hole here. Yeah, that's also very bad. So to process this 3D model, let's say even to use it as a base model, can be extremely tricky. Now, how the page generator will handle that? But this time, let me show you another one of my favorite 3D AI, which is Hi3D, previously Hitem, previously Spark. I mean, they really like to rename. And here's the same prompt with their new model 2.1. The generation costs $0.3. And here's what we get. Look, all these details. There is some broken part here, like this tentacle goes from nowhere, but the amount of details and the accuracy is definitely worth it. They also offer like quite a lot of free retries, and this is definitely better result. And we can also take a look on Tripo, and Tripo also does fantastic job. Look, I mean, the shell here looks amazing. All the ornament looks quite good. All the tentacles, and look, they are logical. Boom, goes around here. Yeah, this one definitely failed, but we can actually remove it. This I can imagine to be used as base model. I will definitely do a few retries, it's quite complex one. Same here. But if I was about to use it for 3D printing, I will definitely use the paid one. Otherwise, I'll pay with my time. And yeah, you can definitely preview the another results. You can go check more examples again on their websites. To explore all of this is absolutely free. So we did quite a lot of tests, right? And what is the fair answer whether open source is better than paid? In my opinion, it's not. It's worth to explore 100%. And in some cases, it can give you quite a lot of options. Knowing what paid tool can do, I can imagine using Trellis to create some environment assets to maybe save some budgets, or if you're an indie developer, that can make sense. But honestly, spending 30 cents to get this model and speed up a lot and save yourself like 2-3 hours in polishing the model you get from Trellis, that's huge. And if you don't know, guys, on Top 3D AI, you can also go and find the currently available promo codes to get this for even cheaper, such as for Tripo and other tools. And Hunyuan again is actually free. So for me, the points of using Trellis.2 is not that obvious right now, but I'm extremely excited and I see very big potential on that. Currently, Trellis.2 taking 17th position in the leaderboard. And Hunyuan 2.1 and Sam3D are also presented, and you can see they are taking the very last seats in the leaderboard. Also here you can compare models in blind mode by yourself and see which one performs better. And on the compare modes, you can choose any model such Trellis or any new model available and compare them side by side on different tests, absolutely for free. Hopefully it will be useful for you guys. That was it for today. Like and subscribe. See you in the next video.